Hey everyone! Welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers. Imagine finding a coin in your change jar, a dusty drawer, or a forgotten corner of your wallet. An ordinary looking 1-cent coin, dated 1978 with a small D mint mark under the date, barely noticeable to most but quietly carrying a story so extraordinary, it could redefine how we view small change forever. Because hidden in plain sight among millions of pennies is the rare and mysterious 1978 D Lincoln cent, a coin struck in the Denver Mint that for decades has traveled silently through time, holding secrets that only the most attentive numismatists and lucky collectors have come to uncover. And today, we're diving deep into the astonishing tale of how a single copper-colored coin with a face value of just 1 cent could be worth a jaw-dropping $825 or more depending on condition, rarity, minting errors, and the speculative frenzy driving demand from collectors across the world. Because when a coin minted by the billions manages to rise above the rest due to unexpected flaws or fascinating die varieties, it transforms from pocket change into a historical artifact dripping with value. And while millions of 1978 D pennies were struck and released into circulation, only a rare subset carries the features that make it highly sought after. These features may include dramatic die breaks, off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet anomalies that happen during the high-speed minting process. And when you add in decades of wear, circulation, and loss, the number of pristine or even moderately preserved examples with valuable errors becomes incredibly small, making any surviving specimen something of a modern treasure map for the coin community. And it's not just the anomaly alone that fuels its astonishing price. It's the power of the story, the hunt, the accidental discoveries that feel like winning the lottery. Where ordinary people stumble upon these special coins in coffee tins, under car seats, or tucked away in old piggy banks, completely unaware of the miniature fortune they possess until a curious Google search or a visit to a coin dealer opens their eyes, and suddenly, that copper coin becomes a symbol of mystery, possibility, and an unexpected path to quick fortune. And to truly understand why this 1978 D cent has caught fire among collectors, we have to look at the era in which it was born, when copper prices were climbing. The economy was shifting, and the U.S. Mint was transitioning between metal compositions and testing new dies under high production pressure, which often led to small but highly collectible minting mishaps that would go unnoticed by the general public but shine like beacons to sharp-eyed collectors. And with online marketplaces exploding with activity, rare coins like the 1978 D era varieties have found renewed interest, sometimes selling for hundreds to over $800 depending on the type and visibility of the error, the coin's condition, and whether it's been professionally graded and slabbed by a reputable company like PCGS or NGC, with collectors fiercely competing in auctions and private sales to claim ownership of one of these rare survivors. And what's truly wild is that some of these coins may look totally average at first glance, blending into any handful of pennies, but under a magnifying lens or careful inspection, their hidden secrets emerge, doubling in the lettering, shifts in Lincoln's bust, misaligned dies, filled mint marks, or planchet clips that transform a common coin into a historical oddity. And if you're wondering how to identify one yourself, the key is close examination. Check for doubling on "Liberty in God We Trust" or the date. Look for strange ridges, cracks, or missing details. Weigh the coin if possible to check for composition anomalies. And if you find something odd, compare it with known listings from auction houses or grading guides, because there's a good chance that what looks like a smudged or bent penny might just be a valuable error variety. And collectors know that provenance, condition, and story all matter. So holding on to a well-preserved 1978 D cent with errors and verifying its authenticity through expert appraisal could lead to an incredible payday. And even if you don't strike gold immediately, joining the world of coin collecting opens a door to a thrilling community where history, art, economics, and chance collide, because every coin tells a story, and the 1978 D Lincoln cent might just be your once-in-a-lifetime chapter. So dig through those jars, empty your old wallets, and keep your eyes peeled for this remarkable coin that has stunned the world with its growing value and mystique. And if you found this story fascinating and want to learn more about other rare coins that could be hiding right under your nose, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next unbelievable story about small coins with massive value just like the legendary 1978 D Lincoln cent that today could be worth a staggering $825 and counting. Next, 2000 D 1 cent coin. Did you know a single penny minted in the year 2000 at the Denver Mint, just 1 cent in face value, has stunned collectors and historians alike by reaching an astonishing $135 in value, turning pocket change into a miniature gold mine and flipping the entire world of coin collecting upside down? Now, before you scroll past or click away, take a second to imagine how many 2000 D Lincoln cents have passed through your hands without a second thought, lost in couch cushions or jingling at the bottom of a forgotten drawer. Yet one tiny detail, one subtle error or variation, has transformed an otherwise ordinary penny into a piece of American numismatic legend, and today we're diving headfirst into that incredible story. So make sure to like this video, subscribe for more unbelievable coin mysteries, and stay with us until the very end, because the truth behind the 2000 D penny's surge in value is more than just a tale of copper and zinc. It's a story of minting mishaps, historical context, and hidden patterns that very few have been able to decode. So grab your coin jars, check your wallets, and let's uncover what truly makes this copper-colored sliver of history so wildly valuable. Because back in the year 2000, the United States Mint in Denver produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents like it had done for decades, and at first glance, there was nothing particularly remarkable about these coins. They bore the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, that tiny D mint mark below the date, the standard composition of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, and yet within that massive production run, something slipped through the cracks, something subtle but significant. Anomalies began to surface, some with off-center strikes, others with doubled dies, die cracks, filled dies, and even incorrect planchets. And as collectors began paying attention, they noticed certain 2000 D cents exhibited a strange, almost ghostly doubling of Lincoln's ear, while others had striking flaws so clean and distinct they had to be mint errors, not post-mint damage. And soon these variations were commanding prices far beyond their humble origins. Yet this wasn't just about errors, because numismatists started theorizing that a small batch of 2000 D coins might have been struck from experimental dies or with reworked hubs, possibly even transitional elements left over from earlier minting processes. And when certified grading agencies like PCGS and NGC started recognizing the value of specific examples, especially those in high mint state grades like MS65 or higher, prices began to soar, and suddenly, this penny, overlooked by most, gained legendary status in online auctions, coin shows, and collector communities, where the chase for the rarest specimens intensified. Collectors scoured rolls, hoarded sealed mint sets, and paid premiums for even the most minor deviations. And what's most fascinating is how this coin, representing the turn of the millennium, reflects more than just monetary value. It's a cultural artifact from the dawn of a new century, a tiny relic of a changing era, where analog became digital, where the United States began evolving rapidly in technology, economics, and even design philosophies, and the penny itself, whose very existence has been debated due to rising production costs, found new life in the form of the 2000 D anomaly, with numismatic forums filled with debates, high-resolution comparisons, microscope shots, and heated arguments over die markers, strike sharpness, rim condition, and plating integrity, with stories emerging of individuals unknowingly possessing small fortunes in their piggy banks, and then realizing after a casual glance or viral TikTok that their 2000 D penny had a doubled ear or a misaligned die that made it one of the rarest finds of the decade. And this sparked a new wave of everyday treasure hunters, grandparents teaching grandkids how to use a magnifier, young collectors flipping through pocket change with renewed excitement, and old-time numismatists reigniting their passion after years away from the hobby, all because of one date, one letter, and 1 cent. And if you think the excitement ends there, think again, because counterfeiters have even begun mimicking these rare features, flooding the market with fakes, forcing experts to raise the bar on authentication methods, relying on spectral analysis, precise weight measurements, and die study catalogs, and this has made original, genuine 2000D era coins even more desirable, pushing their prices higher and higher. And while not every 2000D penny is worth a fortune, the fact that even one can be worth $135 or more has created a frenzy, proving once again that hidden value often lies in the most ordinary of objects. And it's not just about money, it's about history, rarity, craftsmanship, and curiosity. So the next time you're handed change at the store or empty your pocket at the end of the day, take a second look, because that unassuming penny might just be a door to a forgotten story, a tangible link to America's minting legacy, and maybe, just maybe, your ticket to holding a $135 treasure that began its journey as a simple 1-cent 2000D USA coin. Next, 2011 D 1-cent coin. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 2011 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that could be hiding in your change jar, wallet, or even under your couch cushion, but thanks to an astonishing combination of mint-made errors, rare die varieties, and overlooked production flaws, this coin has been reported to fetch up to $94 or more in the collector's market. And the reason behind this surprising price tag is not just a number stamped on copper-coated zinc, it's about how mistakes at the Denver Mint in 2011 turned small cents into big money, because although over a billion 2011 D Lincoln cents were produced, not all of them were created equal, and while the average coin from that year might still be circulating with barely a second glance, a handful of these coins escape the minting process with rare and dramatic errors that make them intensely valuable to collectors, especially when those errors fall into the categories of doubled dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, die breaks, known as cut errors, misaligned dies, weak strikes, plating bubbles, or even transitional planchette mistakes that confuse metal compositions. And to appreciate how all of this can lead to a penny worth nearly $100 or more, you have to understand the chaotic and complex environment of modern coin production, where tens of thousands of coins are minted per hour under extreme pressure, heat, and speed, and any slight misalignment, wherein the dies, or contamination in the process can result in unique and collectible errors that slip through unnoticed by quality control but later emerge as rare treasures. And in the case of the 2011 D penny, one of the most frequently reported and valuable errors is the presence of doubling, particularly in the inscriptions, "Liberty in God We Trust," and the date itself, where careful examination under magnification can reveal secondary impressions caused by die movement or misregistration during the hubbing process, and collectors are especially eager to find clear, bold doubling that's easily visible to the naked eye or with a loupe, making those examples the most desirable and highest priced. And then there's the category of off-center strikes, where the coin is improperly fed into the striking chamber, resulting in a design that is misaligned and incomplete, and depending on how much of the design is missing, especially if the date is still visible, these coins can fetch even more, often jumping well beyond $94 depending on the severity and eye appeal of the error. And let's not forget about die clashes, where two dies strike each other without a planchette between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of one side of the design on the opposite side of a struck coin, resulting in eerie, fascinating images that blend Lincoln's bust with reverse elements like the Union shield, creating unique, almost artistic specimens that spark intense competition among error collectors. And sometimes these 2011 D coins exhibit die breaks or cut errors, where part of the die actually cracks or chips away, leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface, usually along the rim, or in areas where letters seem swallowed up or distorted, which are highly collectible due to their obvious nature and rarity. And many examples have been reported with large die chips on Lincoln's face, forehead, or beard, affectionately nicknamed zits, or warty Lincolns, by the collecting community. And while these might sound humorous, their market value is anything but, often pushing coins far above their face value. And there are even rarer cases where the coin exhibits plating issues, such as bubbles beneath the copper coating that indicate improper adhesion to the zinc core, and these imperfections, although technically considered flaws, are treasured in the error coin world for their uniqueness and visual impact. And beyond all of these are the extremely elusive transitional errors, where a coin might be struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year or even a different denomination. Imagine discovering a 2011 cent accidentally struck on a dime planchet, weighing less and showing portions of design missing due to the size mismatch. These are the unicorns of modern pennies, sometimes crossing into the thousands of dollars in rare circumstances. But even lesser errors that fall within known 2011 varieties can command strong prices if the coin is in high grade, has eye-catching appeal, or is certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, and collectors often pay premiums for coins that are not only rare by error but also preserved in excellent condition, particularly in MS65 or higher, where luster, sharp details, and lack of contact marks elevate the coin's desirability. And what makes this coin so intriguing is that it bridges the world of modern minting with old-school collecting excitement, showing that even recent coins, less than 2 decades old, can become valuable assets if they exhibit the right combination of mistakes, timing, and condition. And with the rise of online marketplaces, coin hunting YouTube channels, and social media groups dedicated to rare change, the awareness of these valuable modern errors is growing fast, creating a surge in people examining their pocket change and contributing to the rising demand for these coins. And as more collectors enter the market and discover the thrill of finding rare coins in circulation, the value of documented errors, especially ones backed by photos, third-party grading, and auction results, continues to climb. So it's not outlandish to see a humble 2011 penny sell for $94 or more, especially if it has a strong story, a rare flaw, and the growing buzz of collector interest behind it. And the best part is you don't need to be a millionaire to get started, just a magnifying glass, a sense of curiosity, and maybe a few rolls of pennies from the bank to begin your own treasure hunt, because every so often, a coin like this reminds us that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places. And if you've ever wondered whether your change could change your life, this coin is proof that it just might, so keep searching, keep learning. And if you enjoyed this incredible dive into the world of rare era pennies and the strange journey of the 2011 Lincoln cent that has shocked collectors by reaching values of $94 or more due to fascinating mint-made mistakes, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss another opportunity to learn about the tiny coins that carry massive stories and maybe even a small fortune waiting to be discovered. Next, 2010 1-cent coin. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating, overlooked, yet astonishingly valuable coins of the modern era, a coin that most people dismiss as worthless but which in reality could be hiding in your drawer, car seat, or coin jar right now, because the 2010 1-cent coin, the humble Lincoln penny, has stunned the numismatic world by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $182 due to rare and highly specific errors and minting anomalies that were never meant to leave the U.S. Mint. And before we unfold this mysterious and compelling story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay ahead of the curve on rare coin discoveries, because what you're about to learn could literally change the way you look at every single coin in your collection, your wallet, or even lying forgotten beneath your sofa cushions. Because in the year 2010, the U.S. Mint was at a pivotal moment, transitioning between major design phases while also balancing high-volume production demands, and with that combination of evolving equipment, updated dies, and sheer production pressure, it's no surprise that some truly bizarre and valuable errors made their way into public circulation, and among them, the 2010 Lincoln cent stands tall as one of the most significant modern-era coins, not due to a single mistake, but rather a multitude of potential issues, including die cracks, off-center strikes, doubled dies, plating bubbles, improperly annealed planchets, and clash marks that all contribute to its escalating collector demand. And while hundreds of millions of these pennies were struck, only a small number bear the signature defects that transform them from spare change into collectible gold mines, starting with the infamous double die obverse errors, where Lincoln's profile and inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 2010 appear slightly shifted, shadowed, or ghosted under close inspection due to misalignment during the hubbing process. And these doubled dies are not always obvious to the naked eye, but with a 10x magnifier or microscope, collectors have documented astonishing duplications in Lincoln's eye, beard, and ear, each tiny flaw magnifying the value of the coin to well beyond face value. Then there are off-center strikes, an error that occurs when the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes the coin, is not correctly positioned between the dies, leading to coins that may be 5%, 10%, or even 40% off center, creating a crescent shape where parts of the design are missing or skewed, and these examples can fetch well over $100, especially when the date is still fully visible and the mint mark is intact. But what truly elevates the 2010 penny into legendary status is the rare presence of improperly plated planchets and copper plating bubbles, where the zinc core does not bond correctly with the outer copper layer, forming bubbles, blisters, or even cracks on the coin's surface, a problem exacerbated by the cost-cutting composition change in 1982, which introduced the zinc core in place of solid copper, and in some cases, these defects reveal part of the zinc beneath the copper, creating a striking visual contrast and immediately signaling to trained eyes that the coin may be worth far more than 1 cent. And let's not forget about die cracks and die breaks, where the dies used to strike the coins begin to fail, creating raised lines or ridges that look like veins, lightning bolts, or rivers flowing across the coin's face or reverse, and these can occur on Lincoln's forehead, his jacket, or even across the shield on the reverse side, with particularly dramatic examples earning nicknames like Lightning Lincoln or Cracked Shield, and commanding premium prices from eager buyers at coin shows and online auctions. And then there are rare instances of retained cut errors, where a chunk of the die breaks away and fills with metal during striking, creating a blob or raised lump often on the rim or edge of the coin that collectors absolutely covet. But perhaps the most mysterious and debated error of the 2010 penny is the phantom design ghosting, where remnants of previous design elements appear on the coin due to die polishing errors or hub doubling, creating visual remnants of older Lincoln memorial details or even odd distortions of the Union shield that was introduced in that same year. And yes, the 2010 Lincoln penny marked a major design shift, as it was the first full year that featured the Union shield reverse after the 2009 bicentennial series, and this transition brought its own set of issues, such as misaligned die clashes that caused shield bars to appear offset, weakly struck, or layered with parts of the obverse due to miscalibrated presses or improperly spaced dies. And while many collectors overlook this new reverse design as boring or generic, it is precisely this design that has resulted in one of the most diverse collections of modern mint errors, making the 2010 issue an absolute must-have for anyone seeking value, mystery, and uniqueness in their coin collection. And because the errors are so varied, from minor strike-throughs to major structural flaws, each discovery adds a new chapter to the legend of the 2010 Lincoln cent. And because the U.S. Mint does not officially release error statistics or acknowledge every mishap, it is up to the collector community to document, study, and value these rarities, which means the market is constantly evolving, with new finds surfacing each year and fetching higher prices, and collectors now hunt for not only certified examples in high grades like MS-65 or MS-67, but also raw coins with unique and dramatic flaws, particularly those still found in circulation. And imagine the thrill of pulling a coin worth $182 out of your change jar or a forgotten stash of pennies in an old coffee can, because it's happening, and not just to professional collectors. Ordinary people are finding these valuable 2010 pennies every single day, and with online marketplaces like eBay, heritage auctions, and great collections featuring verified sales of high-grade error specimens for triple-digit amounts, there's never been a better time to start checking your coins, examining them with care, and maybe even becoming the next person to turn a single cent into a payday that makes headlines in the numismatic world. Because behind every coin is a story, and behind the 2010 penny is a story of overlooked value, fascinating mistakes, industrial history, and a collector's dream come true. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a total beginner just learning about mint marks and die varieties, the 2010 Lincoln cent is a modern marvel that deserves your attention, your magnifier, and your curiosity. Because that tiny sliver of copper and zinc might just be your ticket to uncovering a piece of American minting history. So don't wait. Start looking, start learning, and always remember to check every penny, because you never know when one of them might be worth $182 or even more. And it all starts with a single glance at that familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the 2010 1-cent USA coin. Next, 2012 1-cent coins. Small coins hold massive secrets, and spare change can lead to extraordinary discoveries that turn everyday people into treasure hunters, where the most unassuming pieces of metal tucked away in pockets, jars, drawers, or forgotten corners of your wallet might just hold hidden fortune and numismatic wonder. And today we are diving into the curious case of the 2012 Lincoln 1-cent coin. A penny so seemingly ordinary yet so deceivingly valuable that collectors are paying up to $109 or more for specific examples marked not by design, but by mistake, by error, by the unpredictable imperfections that arise when thousands of tons of force strike millions of coins per day at the U.S. Mint, leading to rare, elusive anomalies that escape unnoticed into circulation and later surface in the hands of the lucky and the observant. And the 2012 1-cent piece, with its Union Shield reverse and the solemn profile of President Lincoln on the obverse, might appear identical to billions of others produced that year. But within that flood of copper-plated zinc lies a rare subset, coins that were touched by flaws, shaped by accident, altered by the chaos of high-speed minting, and elevated by the passions of collectors hungry to own a slice of numismatic history. And these rare cents, particularly those with errors, have found their way into auctions, private sales, and grading slabs, commanding up to $109 or more depending on the severity, type, visibility, and preservation of the mistake. And to understand why, we need to peel back the layers of the minting process and expose how mechanical failure, human oversight, and random chance conspire to create coins unlike any others. Because in 2012, while the Denver and Philadelphia mints were churning out over 5 billion pennies, a small number of them were born with quirks that now make them highly desirable, including dramatic die cracks that stretch across Lincoln's face or the Union Shield like lightning bolts frozen in copper, off-center strikes that leave portions of the design sheared off the planchet and the coin looking like a crescent moon with a mysterious past, die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike one another without a planchet in between and leave ghost-like impressions of opposing design elements on both sides, giving Lincoln's bust faint echoes of the reverse shield or letters out of place, as if the design itself is haunted. And these kinds of errors, especially when clear and easily visible, command higher prices because they are dramatic, eye-catching, and undeniably unique. And then we have the doubling errors, true doubled dies where elements like the date, the word liberty, or the motto "I in God we trust" show signs of duplication, where a secondary image slightly offset from the primary appears under magnification or sometimes even with the naked eye, creating the illusion of a misprint frozen in metal. And such doubling, when verified, particularly on the obverse, has historically been among the most valuable kinds of coin errors because it reflects a flaw in the die itself, meaning every coin struck by that die carries the error, making these doubled die varieties rare, collectible, and valuable even in lower grades. And then there are the lesser-known but equally important plating errors, where bubbles form beneath the copper coating due to improper bonding with the zinc core, leaving raised blisters on the surface that make the coin look like it has acne or disease, but to collectors it's a visual cue of a minting defect. And these coins, when they display multiple bubbles or large ones in prominent areas like Lincoln's cheek or the shield stripes, become instantly desirable. And of course, let's not forget die breaks and cut errors, where chunks of the die break off, usually near the rim, resulting in large raised blobs of metal that obscure parts of the design or lettering, and which are prized for their bold, unmistakable character and the rarity of their occurrence. And even rarer are examples of 2012 cents struck on improper planchets, like those intended for dimes or foreign coins, resulting in underweight or oddly colored cents that escape detection and enter circulation. And such coins, when authenticated, become immediate stars at auctions because they combine the surprise of error with the mystery of how they were even allowed to exist in the first place. And collectors obsess over provenance, eye appeal, and grade, with coins graded MS65 or higher commanding significant premiums because they show crisp details, original luster, and minimal wear. And when such condition is combined with a strong error, the result is explosive interest and rapidly increasing prices. And while $109 might be the average for certain known error types, some pieces have sold for more when two or more anomalies are present, like a double die combined with a die clash or an off-center strike, paired with a retained cud, making hybrid errors incredibly appealing to seasoned collectors and casual hobbyists alike. And with the rise of digital marketplaces, forums, and YouTube channels like this one, the community of error coin hunters has grown rapidly, creating upward pressure on prices for known varieties and driving awareness of even the smallest mistakes. And the 2012 penny is a perfect example of how a recent, modern coin, just over a decade old, can generate excitement and yield big money simply by being born slightly wrong, and it challenges the assumption that only old or silver coins are valuable, proving that numismatic treasures can be minted in the age of smartphones and social media, hiding in plain sight among billions of common sense, waiting to be spotted, examined, and treasured. And the beautiful irony is that these coins, intended to be uniform and flawless, become most valuable when they deviate from perfection, turning error into rarity and flaw into fascination. And if you're holding a 2012 penny right now, take a closer look because you could be holding a coin with a die chip that looks like a raised spike on Lincoln's head or a clash mark that gives his profile an extra eyebrow or misaligned design elements that skew the entire aesthetic. And what makes the hunt so thrilling is that these coins are still in circulation, still being found by average people in their change from a coffee shop or after breaking $1 at the store, still being discovered in rolls from the bank or old coin jars on grandma's shelf. And that accessibility makes this journey democratic. Anyone, anywhere, can stumble upon a penny that turns out to be worth $109 or more simply because of what went wrong during its creation. And for every coin found, a new collector is born, a new passion is ignited. And the fascination with the seemingly insignificant deepens into a lifelong love of history, art, and anomaly. And if you want to join that growing community of explorers, treasure hunters, and numismatists chasing the next big find, you're in the right place, because every video on this channel brings you closer to the knowledge, tools, and excitement you need to uncover the hidden value in your pocket change. And today, the 2012 1-cent coin stands as a testament to how modern minting, while vastly automated, is still vulnerable to the human and mechanical flaws that breathe individuality and intrigue into mass production. And those errors, from the subtle to the spectacular, are now transforming pennies into prized possessions and average people into amateur archaeologists uncovering history in the everyday. So keep searching, keep inspecting, and keep believing that even the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. And if you enjoyed this in-depth look at how a 2012 Lincoln cent can be worth up to $109 or more thanks to min-made errors and unexpected flaws that elevate it from the ordinary to the extraordinary, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss a single coin that could change your life, 1 cent at a time. Next, 2002 D 1-cent coin. Ordinary coins reveal extraordinary secrets, where forgotten cents tucked away in old jars and dusty drawers may carry hidden value beyond imagination, and where every single detail, every scratch, flaw, or shimmer under a magnifying lens can unlock the story of a treasure that only the sharpest eyes can see. Because today we uncover the astonishing mystery behind the 2002 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that most people spend or toss aside without a second thought, but which, due to a series of rare and surprising minting errors and unexpected manufacturing anomalies, has risen in collector circles to command values as high as $211, making it one of the most remarkable and underappreciated modern pennies in U.S. numismatic history. And before we dive into the complex world of minting flaws, valuable oddities, and coin collecting gold mines, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more shocking coin stories that could change the way you view your pocket change forever. Because somewhere out there, maybe even in your own wallet or piggy bank, might lie a copper-coated clue to a hidden fortune. And that clue just might be a 2002 D penny, struck at the Denver Mint, at a time when minting technology was advanced yet not immune to the occasional, and highly profitable, mistake, and while hundreds of millions of 2002D Lincoln cents were produced that year. Not all were created equal, because within the sea of copper-plated zinc coins emerged a small number with startling errors, subtle abnormalities, and highly collectible imperfections that now fetch astonishing prices among those who know exactly what to look for, and one of the first and most noticeable errors reported among these coins is the dramatic die crack, where a fracture in the die used to strike the coin created a raised line of excess metal on the finished penny, often appearing along Lincoln's forehead, jawline, or neck, or arcing across the coin's reverse like a scar through the Union shield or lettering, and these cracks, depending on their severity and placement, have become iconic markers of value for the 2002D issue, especially when accompanied by other flaws such as die chips, those small blobs of extra metal that appear in corners and crevices like Lincoln's eye, mouth, or jacket collar, and some even resemble tears or extra letters, leading collectors to nickname specific varieties with memorable monikers and stories. And then there are the doubled dies, a result of misaligned hub strikes during die creation that cause inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 2002 to appear with shadowed edges or ghost-like duplication. And when these doubled die obverse coins are discovered in high grades, especially mint state 65 or above, they are snapped up by experienced collectors and competitive buyers, sometimes pushing the market price over $200, particularly when the doubling is dramatic and clearly visible without magnification. And off-center strikes are another category of valuable error associated with this coin, where the coin was not properly seated in the coining chamber, and thus was struck slightly or severely off-center, creating an elliptical appearance and often leaving part of the design missing. And when these coins show a visible date and mint mark, especially the all-important D for Denver, their value skyrockets due to both rarity and visual impact. And other striking errors include broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails to hold the planchet in place and the design spreads too far across the surface, often creating a pancake-like effect that makes the coin look stretched and oversized while still displaying the original design in distorted form. And the allure doesn't end there, because a select number of 2002D cents have been found with clipped planchets, meaning the blank coin disc was improperly cut from the metal sheet, leaving a curved chunk missing from the edge, and these clips can be straight, curved, or ragged depending on where and how the cut occurred, and collectors absolutely cherish them when the clip does not obscure key design elements like Lincoln's face or the date. And even more elusive are examples of coins struck on the wrong planchet, a phenomenon where a penny is mistakenly struck on a foreign coin blank or a US dime or nickel planchet, creating a coin that is smaller, lighter, or a different color than standard Lincoln cents. And these wrong planchet errors are exceedingly rare, but when authenticated, they can bring huge premiums, especially when the strike is clean and clear, showing the full design even on the undersized surface. And let's not forget the effects of plating bubbles and peeling, two more error types caused by issues with the copper plating process, where gas or improper bonding between the copper layer and zinc core causes bubbles, blisters, or even full separations to form, and some 2002D pennies show these plating issues prominently, creating coin surfaces that look blistered, pitted, or even peeling like old paint. And while some may mistake these for post-mint damage, experts know the signs of authentic mint-created flaws, especially when the coin shows no signs of outside tampering and retains strong strike and luster, and because the US Mint does not intentionally release error coins. The presence of these flaws is always the result of real-time production issues, often occurring during high-volume runs where quality control may not catch every defect, and in 2002, the Denver Mint was pumping out billions of coins, making it all the more likely that a few would escape with major errors intact. And beyond these more dramatic mistakes, many 2002D cents have been discovered with strike-through errors, where foreign material, grease, metal shavings, or fibers were present during striking, leaving blank patches, ghostly depressions, or smeared design elements on the finished coin. And these coins vary greatly in value depending on the size, shape, and location of the strike-through, but rare examples with centered, clear marks can command several times face value and climb toward the $200 range when certified and properly graded, and over the years, as more of these rare errors have been discovered and documented, the numismatic community has begun to recognize the 2002 D penny not as a common piece of change but as a treasure trove of minting quirks and collector possibilities, leading to a steady increase in value, especially for coins that are uncirculated, in original bank rolls, or graded by PCGS or NGC with a high mint state rating and a verified error designation. And while not every 2002 D penny is valuable, the mere possibility that any single coin could bear one of these lucrative errors has reignited public interest in modern coin collecting, leading thousands of everyday people to pull out their change jars and begin hunting, examining each coin for the faintest sign of doubling, cracks, misalignment, or unusual texture, and this surge in attention has helped push certain examples beyond $211 in online auctions, especially when competition between bidders drives prices to unexpected heights, and some collectors even specialize exclusively in 2002 D errors. Building comprehensive portfolios of the various mistake types and compiling digital archives to study and compare each new find, which only adds to the lore and mystique surrounding this coin, and considering the increasing difficulty of finding pre-1982 solid copper pennies in circulation and the gradual shift toward digital currency, the value of unique and flawed modern coins like the 2002 D is only likely to rise as time goes on, especially for those in pristine condition or with multiple error types stacked on a single coin, which is rare but not impossible. And with so many error types, die cracks, doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, plating bubbles, wrong planchet strikes, strike-throughs, retained cuds, misaligned dies, and even phantom design remnants, the 2002 D penny offers an incredible landscape for exploration, investment, and discovery, and every new coin examined becomes a puzzle to solve, a tiny metal mystery that might just be worth $211 or more, and that is why this coin, so easy to ignore and yet so full of potential, continues to amaze and surprise those who dig a little deeper, learn the signs, and take the time to search, because treasure doesn't always glitter, it often hides in plain sight, in the rustle of your change, in the quiet weight of a small copper disc, in the face of Lincoln on a 2002 D 1-cent USA coin. Next, 1967 1-cent coin. The tiniest treasures hide in plain sight, and every coin has a story waiting to be uncovered, where even a humble penny could hold the power to shock, amaze, and transform your perception of what's possible with pocket change. And today we're diving into the astonishing tale of the 1967 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a piece of American history so rich in anomalies, so full of mint-made secrets, and so drenched in collector intrigue that certain examples have sold for as much as $392 or more, not because of what the coin was supposed to be, but because of what went wrong during its creation. And the story of this penny isn't just about metal and numbers, it's about the unpredictable collision of human error, mechanical malfunction, minting pressure, political decisions, and the relentless passage of time, all converging to create a handful of coins unlike any others that have stirred excitement and desire among collectors from all walks of life. And what makes the 1967 penny so unique among Lincoln cents is the historical moment in which it was born, for 1967 came during a turbulent time for the United States Mint, a year caught between the tail end of the coin shortage of the early 1960s and an era of intense coinage production where mintmarks were temporarily suspended. And the suspension of mintmarks that began in 1965 continued through 1967 as part of an effort by the Mint to discourage coin hoarding, which had become a national issue, so every 1967 cent lacks the usual D or S indicating its place of origin, creating a mysterious void where collectors must rely on other clues to track its lineage and authenticity. And yet even more fascinating than the absence of mintmarks are the countless mint errors that slipped through the cracks during this chaotic period of production, because with the mints operating under pressure, producing billions of coins with aging equipment and minimal time for die maintenance, the probability of errors spiked dramatically, And that's exactly where the story of the $392 penny begins, because nestled among the sea of 1967 cents are rare examples with doubling on the obverse, true double die errors where parts of the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date itself appear duplicated due to misalignment during the die hubbing process. And while not every double die is valuable, those with bold, dramatic, and easily visible doubling can fetch hundreds of dollars depending on condition and visibility. And collectors who specialize in these varieties know that finding one in high grade can be like striking gold, because the market rewards coins that not only exhibit error but also preserve the sharpness, luster, and clarity of their original strike. And in addition to doubled dies, 1967 cents are known to exist with die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghostly imprints of the opposing design. Elements that seem to shimmer across Lincoln's bust or the Lincoln Memorial, creating surreal, almost haunting visual effects that are prized for their uniqueness and rarity. And then there are off-center strikes, where the coin is not perfectly centered in the striking chamber, and the design is stamped off balance, sometimes dramatically so, and depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the full date is still visible. Such coins can become instant collector favorites, especially when preserved in excellent condition, and the deeper one digs into the 1967 cent, the more layers of error potential are uncovered. Die breaks or cuds, where pieces of the die literally break away and leave large, raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface, usually along the rim or swallowing parts of the lettering. Weak strikes, where parts of the design are faint or missing due to insufficient striking pressure or worn dies. And misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse designs are not perfectly aligned, resulting in coins that feel off-kilter and distorted, all of which are sought after to varying degrees by collectors who recognize the artistic and historical value of these unintended variations. And some of the most fascinating errors come in the form of planchet issues, coins that were struck undamaged, underweight, or even foreign planchets, which creates anomalies in color, thickness, or composition. And while rare, examples of 1967 cents struck on dime planchets or clipped planchets have been reported and authenticated, dramatically increasing their value. And in the case of a well-known clipped planchet error, where a portion of the metal is missing from the edge of the coin due to a misfeed in the blanking press, the resulting coin can be worth significantly more than face value, particularly when the clip is prominent and the rest of the design remains well struck and readable. And the thrill of these errors is amplified when paired with exceptional grade, as high mint state examples, especially those graded MS-65 and above by major grading services such as PCGS or NGC, command strong premiums due to the combination of rarity and visual appeal. And when you take into account all of these possibilities, the doubled dies, the die clashes, the off-center strikes, the die breaks, the weak strikes, the clipped planchets, and more, you begin to understand why the 1967 penny, despite its massive mintage and initial appearance of being common, holds such an important place in the hearts of collectors, and why individual examples have sold for as much as $392 or beyond, especially when multiple errors appear on the same coin, creating hybrid anomalies that defy easy classification and captivate the imagination. And it's this unpredictable blend of technical flaw and aesthetic deviation that turns a basic coin into a numismatic sensation, one that can sit in your hand and yet carry the weight of history, chaos, and value in every tiny detail. And these coins aren't just accidents, they're artifacts of a moment in minting history when the pressure to produce collided with the limitations of equipment and quality control, giving rise to rare coins that are both mistakes and masterpieces. And they continue to be found today in old coin rolls, forgotten piggy banks, inherited collections, and dusty drawers, waiting for a curious eye or an experienced hand to spot the subtle signs that mark them as valuable. And what makes this all even more exciting is the accessibility of the hunt, because you don't need to be a millionaire or a professional numismatist to find a 1967 penny worth hundreds. You just need a magnifying glass, a little knowledge, and the determination to look closely, again and again, until you discover that one coin whose story was shaped not by perfection, but by imperfection. And if you think you've seen everything a penny can offer, the 1967 cent will prove you wrong, over and over again. With every new variety and error that surfaces and stirs the excitement of the collector community, and with rising interest in error coins thanks to social media, auction platforms, and educational content like this, the value of these coins is only climbing, as more people become aware of what to look for and what their change might truly be worth. So don't toss aside your pennies as worthless, because among them could be one of these rare gems, maybe a dramatic die clash, a bold double die, a perfectly clipped planchet, or an off-center strike so visually compelling that it immediately grabs attention and demands further investigation. And maybe that coin will be worth $392 or maybe even more if it hits the perfect trifecta of rarity, condition, and demand. And maybe, just maybe, that discovery could be the spark that ignites your own journey into the world of coin collecting, where each piece tells a story and every handful of change holds limitless potential. And if you found this journey into the mysteries of the 1967 Lincoln penny exciting, informative, and inspiring, and want to keep learning about the hidden value buried in plain sight within modern and vintage US coins, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next incredible story of a tiny coin with a big secret. Just like the 1967 1 cent that's turned heads, sparked bidding wars, and proven that even the most modest denominations can rise in value through the magic of mint-made mistakes. Next, 2004 1 cent coin. Today we bring to light a story that might just change the way you look at the smallest denomination of American currency forever as we unravel the astonishing mystery of the 2004 Lincoln 1 cent coin, a copper-plated zinc piece with a face value of just 1 cent that, under the right circumstances, is now commanding as much as $84 or more in collector circles due to a variety of fascinating minting errors and production anomalies that have elevated this ordinary piece of change into a sought-after numismatic treasure. So before we dive into the incredible possibilities, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel because this is where you learn how the coins you carry every day could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Because the truth is, the 2004 penny wasn't supposed to be special. Produced in large numbers as part of the modern Lincoln Memorial series before the transition to the Union Shield reverse in 2010, yet this humble coin, minted across the Philadelphia and Denver mints, has over time revealed itself to be a canvas of overlooked imperfections and rare mechanical surprises that have caught the attention of collectors, graders, and dealers nationwide. Beginning with the most visually dramatic type of error known as the off-center strike, where the planchet is not properly aligned in the striking chamber during the minting process and is thus hit partially, resulting in a coin where one side is blank and the rest of the design is pushed toward the edge like an off-axis solar flare. And these off-center errors on the 2004 penny have been discovered ranging from a mild 5% to an extreme 60% off-center. And coins with legible dates and mint marks in these error configurations are especially prized, often drawing bids of $50 to $84 and even more in pristine condition. And then there are the doubled dies, an error type beloved and hunted by collectors for decades, caused during the die creation phase when a hub imprints the design onto the die more than once at a slightly misaligned angle, resulting in letters, numbers, and even facial features like Lincoln's eye, mouth, or ear appearing with an eerie shadow or ghost-like doubling. And in 2004, several reports emerged of such doubling, particularly on the words "I in God we trust" and "Liberty" on the obverse, and occasionally in the memorial columns, or the word 1 cent on the reverse. And when these doubled dies are dramatic and visible without magnification, they significantly increase the value of the coin, especially when combined with high mint state grading like MS-64 or better, which is where even a penny can jump from pocket change to collectible status. And what adds to the uniqueness of the 2004 cent is the presence of die breaks, cracks, and chips, all of which occur when the dies used to strike the coin begin to fracture from repeated use, leaving behind lines, lumps, and blobs of raised metal that often form fascinating patterns across Lincoln's face, coat, or even the edges of the coin. And in certain cases, these die cracks have formed so prominently across the reverse that they earn the nickname lightning bolt memorials. where the break runs from the top of the building to the base like a crack of thunder, and die chips, especially in Lincoln's eye or mouth area, have sometimes been interpreted as extra facial features or tears, adding not only value but mystique to the coin itself. And let's not forget about strike-through errors, where a foreign object such as grease, cloth fibers, or metal shavings are accidentally caught between the die and planchet during striking, causing sections of the design to appear blank, smeared, or deeply depressed into the surface. And in 2004, numerous strike-through examples have surfaced, some with clean, deep cavities on the reverse shield, others showing faint outlines of cloth patterns across Lincoln's profile, each one telling a unique story of the chaotic mechanics behind high-speed minting processes. And these coins often exceed $84 in value depending on the uniqueness and visibility of the error. And another fascinating aspect of the 2004 penny comes from the phenomenon of plating blisters and bubbles which occur when the thin layer of copper that coats the zinc core fails to adhere properly, often due to temperature fluctuations or contamination during the plating process, and this creates raised or peeling areas on the surface of the coin that appear like bubbles, scars, or craters. And while these may seem like damage to the untrained eye, experienced collectors and graders know that authentic mint-caused plating issues are valuable and increasingly rare in high condition, especially when the blisters are widespread or appear alongside other errors like doubling or die cracks. And more rare still are the examples of 2004 cents struck on the wrong planchet, an error that occurs when a blank intended for another coin, such as a dime, nickel, or foreign currency, finds its way into the penny coining press, resulting in coins that are lighter, smaller, or silver-colored instead of coppery red. And authenticated examples of 2004 pennies struck on dime planchets or even foreign blanks have fetched hundreds of dollars at auction, because not only are these errors scarce, but they represent a minting anomaly that speaks to the unpredictable nature of mass production. And then there are coins with misaligned dies, which create a condition where one side of the coin is properly centered while the other is off-kilter, making for a lopsided coin where the obverse and reverse don't perfectly match up. And these errors are less common but extremely collectible due to their unusual aesthetic and technical causes, especially when found in uncirculated rolls or mint sets, and because the year 2004 was not a transitional design year. Many collectors initially ignored these pennies in favor of more historically dramatic issues, which means that era coins from this year are now being discovered with fresh eyes and renewed excitement, as hobbyists dig through old hoards and overlooked boxes only to find that one penny with the weird line, the strange bubble, the off-center rim, or the doubling that turns a coin from overlooked into overvalued. And adding to the excitement is the fact that many of these errors were not documented or catalogued until years after their release, making early discoveries rare and newer finds even more thrilling. And with grading agencies like PCGS and NGC now actively certifying 2004 error cents in high mint state grades, the documented price ceiling of $84 is just the beginning for particularly dramatic specimens, especially those that combine multiple error types such as a double die with a die crack or an off-center strike with a clipped planchet. And yes, clipped planchets are another key feature found on some 2004 cents, where the blank was improperly cut during preparation and thus bears a curved or ragged chunk missing from the rim. And when such a clip doesn't obscure the date or other key design elements, it adds a huge boost in value and collectability. And some clipped planchet 2004 cents have sold for prices far beyond $84, particularly when housed in certified slabs and accompanied by expert provenance or photographic evidence of the minting process. And what makes the 2004 penny particularly fascinating is not just the individual errors, but the variety and frequency of different mistake types discovered within this single year of production, suggesting that something unusual may have occurred at the mint in terms of equipment wear, die life management, or even staff turnover. And for coin hunters and collectors, this suggests a fertile ground for exploration, a year rich in hidden gems that can still be found in circulation today, waiting in bank rolls, hiding in penny jars, lying quietly in coin machines or public fountains. And that means the story of the 2004 penny is far from over. It is an unfolding treasure hunt with new discoveries being made every month, new varieties being documented in coin forums, and new records being set at auction houses as savvy collectors realize the immense value potential of what once seemed like just another modern penny. And so, whether you are a seasoned numismatist or a casual coin enthusiast, the 2004 Lincoln cent is a must-watch coin, a piece of modern minting that offers everything from educational insight to financial reward. And the next time you hold one in your hand, take a close look, because that tiny coin might just be the era-laden marvel that turns 1 cent into $84. And it all starts with a little knowledge, a careful eye, and the timeless truth that sometimes the smallest things are worth the most. And the story continues with every 2004 1 cent USA coin you find. Last, today we're exploring the fascinating case of the 2000 Lincoln 1 cent coin, a small piece of copper-plated zinc that most people wouldn't look twice at but which, under the right conditions and with the right mint-made anomalies, has become a highly sought-after treasure in the numismatic world, with certain examples fetching as much as $126 or more depending on the era type, rarity, and condition. And the story of this coin isn't just about age or scarcity, it's about the wild, unpredictable, and sometimes downright bizarre things that happen behind the scenes at the Denver Mint, where the D mint mark stands for Denver, and where high-speed coin production under extreme mechanical pressure sometimes gives birth to the very flaws that collectors crave. And the 2000 penny is no exception, because despite its massive mintage, over 8 billion coins struck that year. It is precisely within this flood of uniformity that rare exceptions, the valuable mint errors, can occur and escape into the hands of the public, and it's those mistakes that transform a humble 1 cent coin into a collector's gem. And these mistakes come in many surprising forms, starting with one of the most beloved errors in coin collecting, the doubled die, which happens when the design on the die used to strike coins is inadvertently doubled during the hubbing process. And in the case of the 2000 cent, collectors have reported examples of doubling on key obverse features such as the date, the word liberty, or the motto "I in God we trust," and while minor doubling might only raise eyebrows, dramatic, visible doubling can send values soaring, particularly when the coin is in high grade with minimal wear, because doubling not only signifies a failure in the minting process but also creates a unique and repeatable pattern on multiple coins struck with that die, making it a legitimate variety with collector value. And in some cases, such errors may be catalogued and assigned a variety designation, boosting their desirability among registry collectors and error specialists. And then there's the fascinating world of die clashes, which happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a coin blank in between, transferring ghostly elements of each design onto the other side, and these die clashes are like signatures of chaos, visibly blending parts of Lincoln's image with the Union shield or lettering from the reverse bleeding into the obverse, and collectors love them not just for the eerie appearance but because they serve as physical evidence of how unpredictable minting can be. And in a production year like 2000, where equipment was under intense use, die clash errors became more likely and continued to be discovered decades later in coin rolls, estate collections, and change jars. And yet another type of valuable error found on some 2000 cents is the off-center strike, where a coin blank is not properly seated in the striking chamber and the resulting coin is struck off balance, with part of the design missing entirely and part of the blank planchet left exposed. And the most valuable off-center errors are those where the strike is 40% to 60% off-center but still retains a full or nearly full date. And when a 2000 cent shows this kind of error, and the mint mark is still visible, its value can climb quickly, especially in uncirculated grades where the reddish luster remains intact and free from corrosion or heavy handling. And then there's the retained cut error, where a piece of the die breaks off near the edge of the coin, creating a raised blob of metal, often swallowing part of the design or lettering. And these cut errors are not only visually striking but rare, especially when large and dramatic, and they often command premium prices from collectors who appreciate bold, easy-to-identify mint flaws. And beyond these common types are even stranger and rarer errors such as misaligned dies, which cause one side of the coin to be significantly shifted from the other, or die caps, where a coin blank becomes stuck to the die and repeatedly strikes new blanks, creating a deformed, mushroomed coin that looks like something out of a science fiction story. And although rare, Such errors have been documented on Lincoln cents, including the 2000D, and when they surface, they tend to make headlines in coin forums, auction houses, and online listings where their bizarre appearance and undeniable uniqueness drive intense bidding activity, and collectors also pay close attention to planchet errors, mistakes in the blank metal discs used to strike coins, which in the 2000D cent can take the form of improper alloy bonding, visible plating bubbles, or even clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is physically missing due to a misfeed during the blanking process. And while small clips are more common, large, dramatic crescent-shaped clips are rare and desirable, especially when the date and mintmark remain intact, because they add visual intrigue and confirm the error's authenticity. And a related but extremely rare class of errors involves the use of incorrect planchets entirely, such as when a cent is accidentally struck on a dime planchet, resulting in an underweight coin with reduced diameter and an incomplete strike. And although these kinds of wrong planchet errors are few and far between, they are immensely valuable, often selling for hundreds or even thousands depending on the visibility of the error and the condition of the coin. And what's truly amazing is that many of these errors go unnoticed by the general public, circulating for years in pockets, drawers, jars, and coin rolls, passed hand to hand with no one realizing that a small fortune may be hiding in plain sight. And that's what makes the 2000D cent such a compelling coin for modern collectors. It represents the perfect storm of high mintage, rapid production, and aging equipment that makes errors both likely and overlooked. And because it's a modern coin, examples are still actively being discovered today by roll hunters, casual collectors, and even sharp-eyed cashiers who know what to look for. And in addition to the error types already mentioned, the value of a 2000D penny can increase dramatically when the coin is found in high grade, particularly in MS65 or above, where sharp detail, original luster, and the absence of major contact marks set it apart. And coins that combine high grade with a rare error represent the top of the market, often commanding significant premiums from registry set builders and specialists who want the best of the best. And auction records support this, with multiple sales of 2000D cents reaching $126 and beyond when a dramatic error meets excellent condition. And while those numbers might seem incredible for a coin with a face value of 1 cent, they are a testament to the power of rarity, curiosity, and demand in the world of numismatics. And that's why examining your change is more than just a habit, it's an adventure, because you never know when you might find that one overlooked coin, that one oddity with a subtle twist, that turns out to be a hidden treasure worth more than you ever imagined. And for every collector who finds one of these rare 2000D errors, the thrill is not just in the money but in the story. In the moment of realization when a coin that's been sitting forgotten suddenly reveals itself to be special. And these discoveries fuel the passion of collectors everywhere and prove that even the smallest, most common coins can hold incredible secrets when error and fate collide. And so the next time you see a 2000D penny, don't dismiss it, examine it carefully, look closely at the details, use a magnifier if needed, and pay attention to the date, the design, the edges, the alignment, the weight, and any signs of abnormality. Because the possibilities are endless, and you just might be holding a valuable piece of minting history worth $126 or more. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating errors and possibilities that make the 2000D Lincoln cent so much more than just a penny, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next journey into the world of rare coins hiding in everyday places. Because the hunt never ends and the next big discovery could be waiting in your pocket right now.